Hi, my name is Francis Fox. Ah, it's Friday, the 20th of June, 2025. And I've decided to try to organize this chat. Even though I enjoy being ADD, when you're organized, it helps that you not forget things. Anyway, introducing myself. That's how we started. I'm Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I'm also trained in interspecies communication. I've also been trained in and worked with all the psychic skills. I'm not an astrologer, but that's not a psychic skill. Um, I'm also a healer. I'm also, it was declared by the military, a prophet, which simply means you have information from the future that should be pretty solid. But the reason for prophecy is for you to know where you're going to end up. If you don't like that, then you make changes and then you won't end up there. So I'm very strong having to do with the mind and how it creates reality. The number one law on the planet. I'm not sure if the number one law is not free will, but basically, intention creates reality, and it's your mind that creates intention. And I discovered the structure of the mind, which is a series of strings, like string theory. Only problem is the scientists, when they talk about the stuff that's the closest to the strings I work with, they're talking about the black holes, which is a double terminated funnel, which is what the strings ultimately look like. So they're all the way up there in the stratosphere. And meanwhile, I'm down here in people's homes trying to help them be happier. And now I'm kind of into politics, trying to make this transition into the golden age a little bit softer. So I'm going to start with the energies of the week. From the 18th to the 19th, 2 days ago, there was another wave of suicide on the planet. It happened at night. The bad galactics throw, let's call it a virus of astral particles together with thoughts that you're not too happy, you're never going to be happy, it's nothing is ever going to improve, you feel so bad, you just want to die, you just want to kill yourself. The mantra for that is really simple. I'll give it to you now. But the trick of the matter is when you do it, you take care of it because the issue is not internally generated. It's something that is thrown on you. Now, it can transfer to your kid or it can land on you and your kid. Your life is fine and you work it through. You go to the gym, you get out in the sun, you do stuff, you work it through. But some of it could land on your kid who doesn't know that it's a virus and it's not internally generated. Hi, babes. Not sure why my dog generally makes movements, but he's trying to tell me something. But you can't tell me at the beginning of a chat, okay? So the mantra is even though I want to die, I love and accept myself. Or you could do even though I'm depressed and want to die, I love and accept myself. But you can just do the even though I want to die. You repeat it silently, you don't move your mouth with the words, and you got it taken care of. Literally, you got it taken care of. Now, if you're really suicidal, you want me to pick you up? Okay. If you're really suicidal, then you can go ahead and do it for a longer time, but you'll know when you don't need to do it anymore because you'll kind of be like what I taught you about lying and being able to see if somebody's lying. It's that you're saying it and it's just not working because you don't need it. This is good that it's easy to take care of. What's not good is if you don't know that it's not internally generated and you have some problems and all of a sudden you can't take it anymore, you just can't do this any longer, you just don't want to be here. And then if on top of that you're sick, it's not good. So knowing this, giving out these energies of the week, you'll go, oh, so that's why my kid is so depressed. And if once we get everybody to understand that the bad galactics can do this to us, then when all of a sudden things go south in terms of your head, you'll go, is this mine or not? You can also be next to somebody who's massively depressed because they have every reason to be massively depressed. And then all of a sudden you start to feel depressed because, and I'll give you a sketch, even though technically the sketch is not accurate in the flow of energy, the concept of the mother being very depressed, her wanting to die, landing on the daughter, totally accurate. And this quick story, a friend calls years ago, God, I feel so bad, I can't get out of bed. What's going on? So I said, let me sketch it. It was her mother. Her mother was massively depressed. But her mother just lost her husband, this woman's father. But the woman traveled, did this, did that. She got her life, she continued, and the mother didn't have anything to do. So my friend said, what do I do? I said, well, I don't know. She said, I'm going to show her the sketch. I went, okay. She showed her the sketch and said, Mom, look at what you're doing to me. The mother went ahead and signed up for a group that plays canasta once a week, and I don't know what else. She signed up for two different things. She took responsibility and started to occupy herself in stuff that was positive rather than just recycling the depression. So it's good to talk about these things. And we shouldn't be ashamed, especially now when the ETs are really working us having to do with negative emotions. The second energies of the week information is very important that you listen to. Too many people are telling me they have ringing in their ears, but the tinnitus has been around for a while. Guess what? You can take care of tinnitus with one mantra. It is so silly that when people in my chats go, oh, I have tinnitus, and and I go, just go to my YouTube channel, it's in Spanish, and look at the chat we did on tinnitus, and laugh yourself silly, do the mantra, and it's taken care of. Do you know what tinnitus? At least I think it was like almost everybody that I checked, and we did two chats, but the second one we didn't even need to do it. When you were a child, your parents were arguing. You heard hateful stuff when you were a kid, and you didn't want to hear it. So you kind of closed in your mind streams as a child. 40, 50 years later, I guess it's an accumulation. So if you do the mantra, even though what I don't want to hear, taken care of. But this week, last week, everybody's telling me I got this stuff in my ear. There's something in my ear. I can't hear out of this ear. And my left ear felt like it was underwater. So today I gave a chat and we checked. Everybody has, I guess that's the person's name, but this was in public, so there will be no complaint. I did this online. Everybody had congestion of rage here. And then some of them had this. And then there was also, for some of them, a frequency coming in from outside. One of the girls, I said, I think you have a lot of electronics around you. She says, yeah, a lot of TV sets. And I kept asking her, do you work at a TV station? And she didn't answer that, but she said, yes, there's a lot of electronics. There's a lot of TV sets around me. And that was contributing to something that was going on now with her ears. She probably has worked there for years, but now is when her ears can't take it. I must have had 300 people on the chat, and it was dozens of them saying the same thing. Mainly the right ear. In my case, it was the left ear. And then a lot of people with issues like with their teeth. And so remember what I told you about portals. We have in this space 5 portals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means openings between dimensions. So this part of us is real important. And this is the part of us that gets totally beaten up. And then now I tell a personal story. I had a memory, and when I shared it in that little group therapy session with 3 other mind control victims decades ago, my father when I was 2 years old, my father tied me on a rope by my feet and hung me outside a window and then swung me several times to hit the back of my neck. I remember my aunt was there and she was screaming, "You're going to kill her." Whatever. And the other girls in the group, they all remembered they had a similar experience, except one of them, her father or whatever male had hung her over a bridge, was swinging. If you get a blow here or a blow any place here, you're going to open a portal and you're going to have problems, personality changes, rages, all sorts of mind things, like the boxing people, that they get concussions and then they get kind of animalistic at the end and they go into these rages. It's a portal and it's only the bad spirits that come in. Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary, Saint Michael ain't going to come in through the portals because ethically it's not right. So something is going on to where the walls between dimensions are breaking out, breaking down, and we're not getting protected. Or maybe it's just internal. We're so angry, holding, and that is negative astral particles. It's toxic, and then it breaks the Higgs field that controls the dimensions. So, energies of the week, last week and this week, what's the solution? Those three mantras. Om for here, A for here. Did you notice when I did A, it's generally, this is completely broken. And then Hum. Om, A, Hum. We have a video also, which we'll do it now. When we do the mantra part of this, we'll do this now. And olive oil in your ears at night, according to the dolphins. They recommended it a month ago. And oh, yeah, that's a great idea. You know what? It makes a huge difference. There's changes and we have to adapt to them. Okay, well, we'll ask the doctor. Go right ahead and ask the doctor. Go right ahead. He's not going to know. He didn't learn that in med school. And the other thing is a mudra, which is this one. This part of my chat is taking too long, but what can I tell you? This hand position, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Yeah, I can do it like this. This hand position is the Rudra Mudra, Rudra. That hand position helps to protect this. This is crucial. This line right here is crucial. Every autistic kid has a break here. Everybody that is an alcoholic or is a drug addict has a break here. Every one of them. And now this is breaking down. When I take care of children whose personalities have changed, who are out of control, who are violent, this is always broken. And this mudra, hand position, which connects different electrical mind streams, helps to protect this. So even though I want to die, and then the Om, A, Hum, and the mudra, I feel like I'm in a rat race. So the next section of my chat, I'm trying to organize myself, is going to be called White Magic. But to teach you about white magic, I got to tell you something about black magic. So let's talk about the Freemasons. My enemy is the mafia, but it's not just them. But it was through them and because of them, and there you go. Everything bad that happens is for a reason. Freemasonry knows, I don't know how it happens. Somebody would have to know more about this as to how it actually happens, but it's blue and white stripes put you to sleep. And in terms of mind control victims, blue and white stripes put subpersonalities of yours to sleep. But if you're a regular person, the blue and white stripes affect you also in terms of kind of putting you to sleep or part of you to sleep. That is why traditionally pajamas have the blue and white stripes. Did anybody ever ask how we ended up with, not anymore, now it's whatever, But what, a couple hundred years maybe? Pajamas, blue and white stripes. So there's something that blue and white stripes do to your mind that puts you to sleep. In terms of the mafia that were my enemies, it's blue, white, and red. But blue and white is good enough. So there you go. Black magic? No, it's magic. It's white magic if you use it in your clothes when you want to go to sleep. And it's black magic when you use it with mind control victims. Got it? Next. Ah, metaphysical laws. The future is elastic and plastic. So when I tell people stuff, first place, most people say, "What's going to happen?" And I can sketch it and kind of tell you, but I always say, "Look, the future is elastic and plastic. Why isn't this guy asking me to marry him? Why is it this can't happen? Um, or when is this going to happen?" Future's elastic and plastic. I tell them, "Why don't we work on what's stopping you from selling that apartment or that guy from asking you to marry him or whatever?" Because if you don't have something, and you think it's your intention, then it means you're blocked. So let's work on what's blocking you rather than doing the whole real recycling of why it is whatever. And sometimes it is that you don't really want it, such as the funny one. I should actually have that sketch here because it is funny. I had a very high powered friend or executive in this country, very high level, and she was single and she wanted to know why this particular person wasn't really moving forward with her. So I went ahead and sketched. She, when I sketched her, I asked her to move, turn to the side. I don't have the sketch here to show you. The issue was that from the front, she had the vector of intending, because I said intention creates reality. So you intend on him asking him to marry you. Let's see what's really going on. She turned to the side. There's a vector wanting to get married, but from the back of her, she had two or three more vectors and congestions, like these pillows of. Uh, One of the biggest vectors, bigger than the vector of the intention to get married, was I don't want anybody to control me. Another congestion she had in her back was my father was too controlling. He didn't let me do what I wanted to do. And then another. So intention creates reality, but there can, if you're not getting what you want, it's because you don't really want it. And in the case of my friend, she didn't really want to have any man be able to say anything to her. Well, if you're going to get married, you have to be able to share power. And she wasn't willing. When I showed her the sketch, and I laughed when I did it, she looked at it when she went, "Okay, okay." I said, "Okay, what?" She said, "Okay, I get it. No more complaining." What you have to do, and what she had to do, whether she did it or not, I don't know, was to take care of old traumas that ended up making her determined that no man was going to control her. Did you know that there was an earthquake in Iran today, 5.2? So here we go. So that should be another section of my chat. The elements. So here's the trick. Oh my God, Iran got bombed and now they have an earthquake. Okay, that's you. Modern, nobody taught you about the elements. Guess what? Iran, too much fire. They're being bombed. There's actual fires. People are angry. Fire. What puts out fire? Earth and water. So they could have had a tsunami, which I don't think so, because I'm not sure they have any ports. My geography, very iffy. Earth, earthquake. I can guarantee you that any place near that earthquake, people are a lot less angry. That's the point. And if you can wrap your head around that, you're going to look at history in a very different way. We are in the middle of apparently a lot of geomagnetic storms and solar flares, I mean, one on top of the other. They add the element of fire. We're on the verge of war in many different places. And you can't have a war unless there's too much fire. And I've said it before, they've done studies, scientists, that do the statistics and the whole nine yards. And the two, World War I, World War II started when there were incredible amount of solar flares, extra fire. We have that now. So Trump, resist the temptation. Visualize a block of ice in your head, a block of ice in your solar plexus. That's garbage kind of emotions. And then, or everybody, Trump, that's in your intelligence military, visualize them in igloos. Visualize the Pentagon inside an igloo so that the fire cools down. And when it cools down, you can think better anyway. When there's too much fire, you're going to react emotionally. And people are so frustrated in the country. You can see it on X. They're calling, we just need to bomb. You know what? We need to bomb because you're frustrated because you're not earning enough money, or you're frustrated because you didn't get what you wanted, and you need to vectorize and send in some direction that frustration. Let's go ahead and bomb Iran. So the understanding of the elements will completely change everything. Okay. We're in the age of Aquarius. We have to get creative. This thing with the immigration, is it really, can we really deport 22 million people? I don't think so. Okay. The biggest issue countries are facing today that nobody's really handling is population collapse. So why don't we go ahead and send all of those illegal aliens who are producing more children than Anglo Americans are, and let's just ship them out. We don't even know how we're going to do that. Let's just ship them out. There has to be a middle ground. And for anybody who said, yeah, but Trump won on the platform of getting rid of all of them, you know what? Flexibility is important, creativity is important. And what the Dolphins told me in the 90s was that the people that were going to make it were people that were flexible at this time, that people that would be able to see that something changed, and that maybe that they decided 10 years ago or 2 weeks ago, it doesn't really make any sense right now. And I think it's possible that that's what needs to be considered. The immigrants are producing more children than the Anglos. You're not going to get Americans to be producing more children. It doesn't work. They want to all look well, and children are very expensive. You know how much it costs to raise a kid? That's the Anglo attitude. So let's get out of here everybody that can possibly keep the country alive. Well, that probably is part of why, when they discussed it privately, the Democrats allowed this uncontrolled migration, but maybe it doesn't have to be out of control migration. Maybe the borders have been sealed enough, and maybe we need to work with reality, but with order, because what we had was disorder, and disorder will collapse systems. We can't have that. So I was thinking about that. Do you know who are really good workers? Are the Mexicans. Why? Their country is Virgo. Virgos are perfectionists. They're really, really, really good workers. Peru workers are very, and Mexican workers are very solid. Peru workers are even more solid, and they're really, really good workers. I don't know the astrology of Peru, but the people are mainly consciousness whale. Oh my God. Whale consciousness? Do you know what? The first, I feel like crying. The first animal in the Bible that God put on earth was the whale. They create stability and order. They're attached to the Higgs field. They stabilize the Higgs field, which you have to have stable. When it's not stable and it's got holes in it, those are called portals. I'm half Cuban. And if you ask me what I am, I'm going to tell you that I'm Cuban. My mother was German. I'm probably more American, but I will say that I'm Cuban. My kids will say that they're Cuban. Okay, but the Cubans that are coming now are not good workers. And Cubans are very savvy. They're so savvy. And that sweetness that we had before from being an island and fun, it's not so much there anymore. But the savvy is because they were raised, they lived under communism. And in communism, you can't, you have to be savvy, you have to be quick. You have to look at something and go, okay, now how do I get around this? You can't do that in the United States because you're going to be able to get around it real well, not anymore, but before you could get all these benefits, get all this stuff if you're really savvy. So if you get the Cubans that have been coming over for the last 20 or 30 years, not a good mix for this system. Now, I know this sounds horrible. I'm sure that everybody that's Cuban that is listening to this is going, what on earth is the matter with you, Francis? I'm telling you my observations. To me, this is me. I'm not Mexican. I have Mexican friends, but I have more Mexican employees. They're very solid. Now, they're also extremely ambitious, which I didn't know. So it got complicated when I was like, wait. But that was my fault. And it wasn't anything bad, but they're very solid workers. Why can't we work out something with Mexico? You get your crops taken care of, you get your gardens. People talk about Mexican gardeners. Uh, Central Americans are pretty good. They're pretty good workers, and they're kind of sweet people. So, and I know that's not the way we do things. I know that's not the way we do things, but guess what? We're in a state of collapse. So why don't you go ahead and keep doing things the way we've always done things or the way we think we should do things? And let's go ahead and collapse. Let's go down all together. Sure that we're totally right. How about flexibility? How about emotional intelligence, but not the kind that's talked about in the books, because that's not emotional intelligence. That's like a, a mental thing. You have an emotional energy body and you have a mental body. The mental body are the mind streams. The emotional body is the astral spirit body, which is the one full of emotions. So I'm just throwing things out there because at night, this is what I think about. I would think more about my personal life, but what, can't walk out the front door. Today I was allowed to go shopping. So it was good. I went shopping now. I went food shopping. I felt like somebody that just came in from a communist country. Oh my God, look at all these things I can buy. This is ridiculous. Anyway, if our biggest issue is population collapse, and the population, they can't really wrap their head around that, then you have to go at it through a back door, the side, something. And then we have nobody having sex. Well, apparently the immigrants are still having sex. Okay. Darn, I was going to say something important and my mind just slipped. And I don't think it's that somebody's radiating me. I think it's the spirits that don't want me to say. So give me a second. Let me see if I can grab the. Um, um, oh, I know. Apparently, 100 or 100 and some years ago, it was said that in the future now, the most important part of the world was going to be Latin America. Not the United States, not North America. Now the future's elastic and plastic. I actually think it's that woman that was supposedly in my bloodline, Madame Blavatsky, that said that. So what's the difference between Latin America and here? Well, I don't think they have an issue with population collapse. I think they're also a lot more connected to nature, which means they're healthier. Okay, just an example. Now it turns out it was in X, so maybe it's not that, not everybody's doing it, but whatever. They're putting glass enclosures on front porches. First place, in the United States, people don't sit on their front porches unless they're in a very small town. Everybody's in the backyard being private. In Latin America, everybody's sitting on the front porches because they want to talk to people. It's different habits. Okay, I don't want to sit on my front porch and talk to people. On the other hand, I don't want my country to collapse. And maybe that friendliness and the talking to people and different cultural things have to be looked at and have to be encouraged. I'm not saying that you should now tell everybody to sit in their front porch, because what we want them to do is feel comfortable and have sex and all the rest. It's cultural. So if Latin America is what's going to be, and Latin America is also supposed to be the happiest part of the planet, if that's the case, then there's stuff to be learned there. And maybe not get the hell out of here and back to your country may not be the best thing for us. It's certainly not the best thing having to do with population collapse. So, how do you do all of that? I don't know, because I'm not the one who has to make those decisions. I'm just getting a lot of ideas at night and I am simply sharing them. But I would do a special deal with Mexico. First, we said to make the Mexican president happy. We want her to be happy for whatever reason. We want her to be. I don't know her. Um, but she has to struggle with a lot with those cartels. They're right there. Something could be facilitated. Maybe they don't. And you would have an incredible amount of workers, which is going to work, because I don't think it was that things were not thought through. I think this whole thing with population collapse is something that really needs to be taken care of, and the trying to take care of it through the augmentation of sexual energies is not going to happen with people as addicted as they are to their little goddamn cell phones that they put near their penises, their private parts, and their unborn children. Because if you stopped with that, sex drive would be up. But no, we're not going to get that to happen. So we have to go some other route that's more acceptable. Anyway, I'm throwing all that stuff out there. I wrote a whole book on that. Like I said, it was a bestseller in Romania. They sold 20 copies. Actually, I published the book in 3 languages, and I don't think I sold 100 copies in the 3 languages because people didn't like it. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they can't sleep with their head, where on the other side of the wall is the pool pump, which is 220, and their brain operates on 110. They don't want that. They don't want to hear that they can't be in the same room with the router when they're sleeping 10 hours, 8 hours, whatever. They don't want to hear that. They're not going to hear that. I have something else I wanted to talk about, but I asked the dolphins and they said, do not talk about that. So you need to talk about the suicide virus, and you need to ask people if their ears feel funny. And then you need to teach them this mantra, which we're going to do now because I've talked myself into um, oh, Peru is Leo. Somebody just gave me Peru. Leo. Leos are proud and they need to do things. Isn't that interesting? The 2 perfectionists are the 2 astrological signs that like to do things right. Virgo, Mexico. And I said Leo, I said Peru, I didn't know, but Peru is Leo. So the integrating of astrological information that has only been studied for 5,000 years would be very important, having to do with immigration. And I hope that all my Cuban friends don't kill me, but I have to tell you that if you're part of the Cuban population that came decades ago, we all say the same thing. Who are these people? But it's because of the way they were raised. Under communism, you had to be savvy and a bit of a cheat. If not, your family literally would not have food. So, okay, so this is the mantra, and it is Om A Hum, and just A Hum. And I'm going to put the music on that has the and we're going to do it for 5 minutes. So check yourself how your head feels. We need to be in control of our heads. We need for our heads to feel so good that we don't really feel them, rather than, oh, my ear and this tooth is bothering me, and I can't think. We need to clear that. That's why the event that I give, the one that I get the most attendance, is the one that's the name of it is Your Head. And what I do is I detox it. I actually cut the matrix implants. Oh, energies of the week? No, energies for the last 3 months. The Dolphins recommended that you put coconut oil in your belly button every day. Olive oil in your ears, coconut in your belly button. Why the belly button? Guess what? I did the event yesterday on your mission, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I never know what I'm going to do. I work very spontaneously with my intuition. Guess where the energies of your mission are held in your body? In your belly button. How's that? Well, you decided to come in to this incarnation to accomplish a mission which you chose before you were born. You come in only because you have a mission, not because this is such a great place to be, planet Earth. It's the belly button. And several months ago, I saw in one of my groups that we were going to get heavily invaded via the portal of the belly button. And at another point, the dolphin said, everybody, coconut oil in the belly button. Okay, so me, cannabis, I'm going to do cannabis. I'm going to do even better. Maybe the dolphins didn't recommend cannabis because maybe a lot of people don't have cannabis. Guess what? The belly button is in the second energy center, which is the one that's for sex manifestation. Coconut protects against the spirits that used to have a physical body. And it is the oil that is the best for the second chakra. Cannabis, I would do cannabis. That's not what the dolphin said. They said coconut oil. Okay. Olive oil in the ear, coconut oil in the belly button. And this, oh, here it is. I never put it up. Let's go ahead and do this for 7 minutes. But first, check yourself from 1 to 10. How do you feel? 1 is you want to slit your wrist. 10, you feel great. Let's look at the dress for just a second. I feel like I'm in a rat race. There we go. Okay, and let's do the Om A Hum. 7 minutes. I think that you should try to do at least the Om several hours a day. You just initially it's like, okay, now I have to keep the, but you get used to it. It's just like humming, but with that particular sound, Om. Um, it's the third eye, which is where wisdom is. It's the third eye where Jesus Christ has a crown of thorn because the powers that be don't want us to have access to the third eye. That's why they make us afraid of it. Because when we access of it, we can see everything that's happening, past, present, future, with wisdom. Not just that you have information, which is the whole Google thing, internet thing, information. The fact that it's in Google doesn't mean it's accurate. There's a wisdom that comes, our wisdom is in the third eye. So all that fluoride. Okay. So I understand that it is an issue that if Trump ran on fixing immigration and then said that he's deporting 22 million, that it's hard to backtrack. Maybe a mantra for flexibility for the population. It has to be thought through, but if you tie it all together, you're not going to be able to deport 22 million anyway. And then you have all of the people that will be in sheer shock, fear, and rage due to that. You're going to have, and then all the elites with 2 feet in jail. What are we going to get left with? Now, I did the map, didn't I? No, I didn't do the map. The map looks great. Does that mean we should cancel everything I said? No. No, because I took my time to say it, so you had to listen. Did I do the map? I don't think I did the map. I say it, maybe somebody in the chat will tell me if I did the map or not. Anyway, we look great. The heart's big. And you see what this is? These are all more petals in the lotus flower. The lotus flower is like, the Buddha sits on a lotus flower because it's a protection. So now it's full of orange petals, which is creativity. You have the galactic protection. And then I got the words get creative on immigration. And I think there needs to be, I hate the think tanks. By the way, I think that you should look into all of those think tanks and all of those, the Center for such and such studies. I think, but we can't find any more bad people. We have to have, there have to be some people. It's okay. I think we're going to have to give a pass to a lot of bad people. In other words, if you didn't kill 20 people and you only killed 18, you get a pass. And then if you kill 20, I don't know, but God, please, no more ditching all the poor people, all the immigrants, and putting everybody who's got money in jail. Okay, we're in an interesting place, and yet the map looks great. So you figure it out. I'm just giving information. Okay? Thank you for listening. Bye. Oh, how do you feel after the hum? When you wake up with your head like this, just do the om. And if you can, do the om, hum. When I do the a, it feels like my mouth is like all crunched up and then it's like stretching.